Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hi, I'm better than you sound. I,
Yeah,
I,
I've had this for 3 weeks. It won't go away.
I know. It's just crazy. But the good news is you still showed up.
Always.
Um, so let's talk.
Are are you
You know what?
you're
I
pretty
got
high
to.
on the Steelers, right?
I'm pretty high on the Steelers, and I know this is black and gold, right?
Uh,
Um, but you do so much crossover stuff anymore
well,
that
that's what I
sometimes
do. I
I
hardly do
know,
any
and
sports.
I know, and so because you're so well informed on sports, but yet you're so well informed on everything else, and some of your conversations are intriguing to me. And this Inamorado thing,
Oh,
like, I mean, you happen to catch my attention with that,
oh, I
and
did.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Uh,
Huh?
ah, you're talking to the right guy because I don't get it either. I just don't.
36%. She's going to raise 36%. Do you know why most people don't want to live in Allegheny County? Because
Because the
the
taxes are already
taxes.
too high.
Yes. Yes. What don't we understand about that? What don't we get? Is this political? Is it like, where's common sense?
Well, I can tell you the common sense is very simple, and this isn't political. It's just common sense. Whenever the taxes went up, and you can remember this because you remember this geographically, it wasn't when I was a little kid and even like in through high school, Mars wasn't a big place. Now, if you drive on 228, Mars is a big place. You know
Yes.
why? Because of the taxes right next door are too high.
Yes. 100%. I want to sell my house right now and move. I don't want to live in Allegheny County. I do, but it's almost cost prohibitive. And for you to ask for an explanation is perfectly, I think it's perfectly fine. I just don't know how I thought we had a good county executives in there before. I don't know Sarah. I don't know if she's a good one or a bad one. I do question this decision though. So so
You have three brick and mortar stores in Allegheny County.
I do. I
I
do.
mean, think about that.
Yeah, put school tax on top of it. It's
I,
crazy. I mean, crazy. But again, and the other thing that I don't understand that I'd like to see changed in Allegheny County, quit talking to me about mills. I don't know what a mill is.
I know
And
that's why I
no,
always put it in percentage terms
yeah, I love that. I love that you do that.
because
Nobody
nobody
understands a
knows a
mill.
mill.
What's millage? Talk to me about taxes in California are 10%. Talk to me about 2%. Talk to me about whatever. But don't talk to me about mills. Okay? Let's talk to each other like real people.
I'm entirely lost because mine are going to go up by $925. And people say, oh, $925. What is that? Well, I know exactly what that is. That is airfare and a show for me and my daughter to go to Broadway.
And it's also not $900 because you have to earn 1,700 to be able to spend that.
Correct.
900. So no, it's ridiculous, and I don't understand it. But you did catch my attention with it, and so I'll come out off of my soapbox with that.
I
But
feel like I'm making a difference. Thank you.
yeah, you are making a difference. I mean,
Uh,
I watch and I listen to everything you do and say. Um,
the Steelers. Are you high on the Steelers?
I
Because
am sky high in Russell Wilson's words, and as his ability to the moon. I am
oh,
that. I'm that high to the moon. Yes, I am.
I'm
And I'm
pretty
that
high
high
on
on
them.
Mike Tomlin. You're high on them too? Can I record that?
Yeah, I am. There's just a couple things. Um, well, actually, I am very high on them. A win is a win is a win, especially in the division and especially on the road. So, like Cincinnati with Cincinnati, it doesn't matter. They're not a good football team, but I never take that into account. If you
Oh,
can
you
win,
can't say that. You
no,
can't say that.
if
You
you can
cannot
win
say
in the
that.
division on
Joe
the road,
Burrow, but also I did tell you 2 years ago, um, and it's funny because I'm wearing the glasses that I saw Joe Burrow
yes,
wear. But I told you 2 years ago, Joe, or 3 years ago maybe, Joe Burrow would never see another Super Bowl.
I said the same thing. The height of his career was going to be the trip to the
That
Super
was it.
Bowl.
Yeah, that was it. However, that said, he is one hell of a good quarterback. He can throw the ball, he gives them presence inside the pocket. He does a lot of good things. So they're not a good football team, but they have good football players. And so the team thing is a whole different conversation. But they do challenge us. I mean, look, they scored 38 points against us, for heaven's sake.
I agree with you. And when you say that they're not a good team, but they have good football players, that screams to me one clear fact. Their
Yes.
coach isn't on the even the same stratosphere as Mike Tomlin.
No, no,
He's he's just
but
not.
no, he's not. Mike Tomlin is now finally people are starting to appreciate Mike Tomlin. And I see that, and I like the Hard Knocks uh, show that they're doing with Mike, and I saw a video of him saying, "Get this stuff off me" at the end of the game.
Right?
That was pretty cool. Mike is, I've always been a Mike Tomlin fan. I'm diehard. His leadership, the way the man speaks, how do you how do you ever duplicate that? I mean, the man has a clear command of leadership and he loves the game. I mean, and you know what? You know what bothers me about Mike more than anything?
Tell me.
I've never met him.
Oh, you haven't?
I've never met him. No.
He's got
And we have
a
so many mutual friends and we have so many things and I've never met him. And that's the only part of Mike Tomlin that bothers me.
he's got an
So,
interesting presence. It's not as commanding as like okay, this is a good topic. There's only a few people I've ever met in town that have had like Mario Lemieux has a commanding presence. He
yes.
walks into a room and you go, that's Mario Lemieux. Like,
Yes. Yes.
okay. I thought that in a way, even though he was more subdued and laid back, that the ambassador, Mr. Rooney, had that presence when he walked into a room.
Senior.
Yes,
Yes. I
100%. Um, Sidney Crosby even has that magnetic charm when he walks into a room, even though he's quiet and like Mike Tomlin just kind of he's kind of there, but it wasn't. He's very kind of regular.
um he may be kind of regular, but when you speak to him, and I remember when Kevin Colbert went to interview him, um, because the talk at the time was Ken Wisenhunt was going to get the job, and I'm not sure I ever really believed that,
Right?
um, but because I just felt like that wasn't really what they were trying to do. And then Russ Grimm and Ken would have been a good coach, but I don't, I love Russ, but he would have been a terrible coach.
Right?
Um, but then, so I could imagine Kevin Colbert goes and he meets with Mike Tomlin and hires him like within days.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine anybody meeting Mike Tomlin, especially at the age of, was he 36? At
Right.
the time? And not saying this is a guy for our future. I mean, and that's what happened. And he's just gotten better. And I'm look, win, lose or draw. It doesn't matter if he wins one playoff game or the Super Bowl. I think he's done a hell of a job. He's recognized his vision of recognizing what we need to move forward is really it's unreal. And then having the ability and the power to be able to execute it. I think Mike was probably held back a little bit on making the changes that he probably knew needed to be made. And with Omar, him and Omar are really on the same page. And I think that's the difference.
I think he's got to win a playoff game at least, if not two, to be a success this year. It's time.
Well, it's time for that. It is time for that. It's probably time for him more than it's time for you and I. I mean, in him internally, he's probably more anxious about that than we are. He knows what to do. That's the difference. He knows what to do.
Yeah. Now, all right. Here's a topic.
Yeah.
Um, what do we make of George Pickens?
You just try to you manage him. Yeah, I don't see you ever get rid of George Pickens ever. I think you learn how to manage him. You try to manage him. I don't think he's as bad as Antonio Brown, but George's talent is. I think George's talent is more than Antonio Brown, and there's a lot of parallels being drawn. But I think George Pickens brings you a dimension like he's mind-boggling. But he's also could be a distraction. So as long as he doesn't become a distraction, I think the Steelers just need to make sure they try to keep him reined in.
I I just keep wavering, and I know that's not good, but I keep wavering on the guy. He is so talented, but we've seen this before more than a few times, and the Steelers have run people off. He just can't keep doing this every game. He can't. He
No,
can't. Okay, I'll put it this way. It's a story if he doesn't do something. We're back to that. Like, if he doesn't do something, it's a story. You shouldn't need to have Cam Hayward come up to him at the end of a game and calm him down. Broderick Jones is acting as like good cop now. It's too much. I don't know why he just can't wise up.
because he's how old?
Well, 22, whatever.
Okay, think about 23-year-old or 22-year-old Colin Dunlap.
Oh, I agree. I'm with you. I got it. I understand. But
I
he's not
mean,
a rookie
at
anymore.
23, at 23, for me, if I had that level of success at age 23, I would have been intolerable, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps performing. That's the thing. But he
He
just,
does.
and he's
He
so
does.
good.
He's so good. He's just like Antonio Brown did great things. George Pickens does things that are like not even imaginable. I mean, he just his catches, I mean, he opens up the rest of the team for success. As
There's
does
one
Russell Wilson.
difference. I think there's one big difference.
Go ahead.
Teams can get into George Pickens' head easier than they could in Antonio Brown's.
Oh, I don't know if I believe that. I do think though that people could get inside both of their heads.
They definitely have made it a point to try to get into George
Yeah.
Pickens'
Oh
head.
yeah, I'd get into his head in a heartbeat. I'd get into
Um,
his head. George, come on out here. I
uh,
challenge you.
it's just, what do you like? Oh, you know what?
What?
This is the thing that I hate doing more than anything, but I got to
What?
say you're right again. And you said this, Richard, you said this in, hold on,
Wait.
August, maybe end of July, that the dust is going to settle. We're going to go back and forth, whatever. And the Steelers are going to eventually just play two quarterbacks in some form or fashion.
And I love the
And
idea.
here we are. You were
You know
right
what?
about this.
Well, because I tried to get inside their head and figure out what they were doing. So they're solving two problems. They're solving a today problem and a tomorrow problem, right? Because I
I think they're
believe
solving three.
what's the
And they're
third?
solving the in-game problem trying to win the game
Oh
that's right
yeah,
in front of them.
right. But that's part of it, right? That's part of it. And the platoon system, if you call it that. I mean, Mike did it, and we didn't like it, but Mike did it with Najee, right? He talked about the bell cow, talked about all that, and he made that work.
Hey, they did it with Bettis and Deuce Staley before.
Yes, but Bettis was in a different league than Deuce Staley.
Right.
But you have legitimate talent here. I really like Justin, okay, but I really like Justin in the role he's in much more than the future role. And when he's ready for that future role, Russ will step down. And I also believe that there's no question we have to sign Russell.
I'm starting to really warm to that. Short-term contract, decent amount of money. And, you know,
You're not going to get him for less than 40 million, 50
no, I
million.
know, which is a decent amount of money in today's
Yeah.
NFL. But
Yeah.
a couple-year deal, go with it and roll with it. It really goes to show, and I think everybody was apprehensive or at least wanting to see what the deal was, how much of a bonehead, and you're right about this too. The guy in Denver was a total
Don't get me
bonehead.
started. Don't
I
get
mean,
me started on him. I've seen a lot of videos circulating again about him, the way he was speaking to Russell. I mean, it makes me want to go through this screen. I
because
don't
there's
understand.
been nothing
You talk about
that's
abuse of power. Oh, I can't stand it.
correct. There's been nothing presented to us.
Can we send this to Sean Payton and tell him I think he's an idiot?
But
Can you
honestly,
mark the time on here so that you can send it to Sean Payton and tell him Richard Bazzy, Schultz Ford, okay, number one Ford dealer in the state, thinks he is a bonehead idiot for the way he's treated Russell Wilson.
there's been zero presented to us in Russell Wilson's time in Pittsburgh that has been anything other than he's been a great teammate and a great guy.
Do you see the way he walks down and talks to everybody, and he's always positively reinforced? I also happen to know now Russell actually drives one of our cars. Okay. We've never asked him to do anything with it. We like him.
Right.
And we will do something. But so I've never seen, I happen to know, and I also know some other things, personally and privately, that this man has nothing but class. Nothing but class. And it's not, when I saw the thing on Twitter, maybe, that Sean Payton said, you got to get out of the Russell brand. No, he's not about the Russell brand. He's about who he is. He's about the team. He's all about the team. Anyway, Sean Payton, you suck, dude.
Yes. Steelers big on Sunday. I'm thinking
I don't
it's
like
going
the Steelers big. I don't like the Steelers big. I do like the Steelers.
Oh, this is an escape for me.
Jameis worries me.
Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
I like the Steelers to blow them out.
Do you really? I personally would like to see that. But Jameis, like Mike said yesterday, this guy can throw the ball, he can arc the ball, he can, his presence in the pot. I mean, he can do it all. I mean, he was the number one draft pick, so I mean, he's obviously good at something.
I don't think in the history of this
about him is that he likes Sean Payton.
And you're right. In the history of the show, I don't think I've really ever much predicted the Steelers big.
No, you're always just.
I think they're going to win like 35-7. I think they're going to lay it on them.
Well, I think that would be wonderful. I'd like to see that happen. That could really propel them into the next 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. I really would. But anyway, I know you have to go. I appreciate you stopping by. I think our podcast is better than any others because we tell it like it is.
I'm waiting for Sean Payton to get in touch with us.
Let's go. Come on, dude. Let's go. We're going to send him an invite.
Yes. Steelers big. Talk to you next week.
Okay, I love it. I'm going to ask Chelsea to call and reach out to his people and see if we can get him on the show.
That should go well.
Okay. Yeah, that should go.